The entire Charmed drama put together in a series of clips told from beginning to end. My name is Pearl. Welcome to Little Scary Stories. Come on in, Pearlies. Let's talk about people. And by people, I mean the Charmed cast. Holly Marie Combs, Alyssa Milano, Shannon Doherty, and Rose McGowan. And I have put together, like I said, a series of clips. It is going to start with Shannon Doherty's podcast, Let's Be Clear, where she speaks with Holly Marie Combs about her firing and about all of that drama with Alyssa Milano. Next, Alyssa Milano addresses that podcast. Then Shannon Doherty addresses Alyssa Milano talking about the podcast. So it's everything is addressed in this particular video. It's all in one place, so you don't have to be going around searching. My name is Pearl. This is Little Scary Stories. If you have not followed me, please do so. Hit the notification bell, hit the like, and hit the subscribe. And here comes the clips.
And it's not even like we really talk about this at all. I think this is coming up because it's a question that I get asked on a absolute regular basis at every convention that we do. Every single, fan that I run into on the streets always asks me, why did you quit? Why did you quit? Why did you quit? And the narrative that I quit was assigned to me by other people. It wasn't assigned to me. I didn't assign it to myself. And I think I'm just at that point in my life where I don't want to keep lying about something. And I don't want to keep lying about something that meant the absolute world to me. Something that I loved doing. I loved going to that job. I loved the people that I worked with. And I had a father who was extremely sick and had a lot of medical needs. And this show really helped me to provide for an entire family. So when my livelihood got taken away, it was extremely hard. I still went with the narrative and the story that everybody wanted me to go with. But now at my age and dealing with stage 4 cancer, I just don't feel like I have to keep telling a lie. I feel like it's okay to be honest. So one of the biggest sort of myths out there was that I quit.
Well, that story has a backstory and then another story.
Yeah, it has a lot of backstories, which we'll go into. But just to, sort of address that, I don't think that there's anybody in their right mind that would quit a hit show that's paying them a good amount of money that they actually really enjoy working on, which was my deal. Like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you did. You were very dedicated. You like to show up for stunt rehearsals a day early and do your wardrobe a week early. It was really annoying.
Well, I mean, Eilish was like so good.
You're prepared. You were overly prepared.
I was. I like to be prepared. But sort of during that time period, after the first season, when everybody sort of got acclimated, I think things obviously started to change and the show got a lot more attention and us girls got individual attention, and that may have caused some.
Yeah, I heard that. I mean, we've talked about that, but I never knew that because I wasn't the one doing the Maxim covers. I think I did one terrible cover and they gave me very big boobs. And I was like, who is she?
They did. I remember that cover.
It was Stuff.
Was it Stuff magazine?
Yeah. They made me like 6 feet tall and gave me really big boobs. And I was like, okay, that wasn't the picture I approved, by the way. I had final approval on the photo, on the cover. And it was a version of the photo I approved. But that was the only like naked Maxim type photo shoot I did. And I remember saying to my publicist at the time, I was like, shouldn't I take like a couple of weeks? Well, I was in my 20s, maybe 3 to like work out and look good for this. And he was like, honey, no, they airbrushed Giselle. They don't even care what you look like. And I was like, ouch.
By the way, Stuff magazine, the name, it sounds like a porno magazine.
Yeah, well, it looked like it. But actually, the cover shot was the one I was most comfortable with because I just wore my jeans. I wasn't wearing like red lingerie and I was topless, but my hair was covering my boobs. So that was the one I was like, cool, I can swing this.
I remember this cover. It's very sexy.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, if I was 6 foot and had double D's.
Yeah.
Don't look it up. Oh my God. Woman, let some things die. Okay, so they weren't double D's. They were like C's, but still. Hey, you never know. I could go shopping.
Those are big.
Yeah. It's too big for my 5'2".
Look at your abs.
Yeah, I got out and they got longer. That's what I mean. Like I got long. I got tall.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, they definitely stretched the torso.
They did, because I have no torso.
I mean, you look good though.
I was, you know, the real picture was fine too, though.
Yeah, I think I did like FHM and lingerie and then Maxim. It was.
You guys were on the circuit.
We were, but it was more of like all the other, you know, yes, those magazines were, they served a purpose back then.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like the People magazines or the individual TV guide covers or the this or the that or the, you know, in my case, I guess, like my contract was that I got, you know, I was the highest paid because I was the one that the network, you know, hired and sort of greenlit the show based on. So it was something my attorney negotiated in there, and that caused a, you know, rift once Alyssa found out. That was definitely
it did
an issue.
Eventually. Yeah, and Spelling did some backdoor deals. I don't know why I was privy to all the backdoor deals, but people tell me everything, I guess.
You do have a plethora of knowledge of stuff that like didn't even really pertain to you. It was kind of wild.
Yeah, and I keep every text and email. So, truth be told, let's be clear.
Yeah, I do too.
I know. This I do know about you.
Yeah, some people don't love that about me, but that's all right. I just like keeping all that stuff because I think it's really good, like reference. If somebody is saying something that transpired that didn't transpire, then I can go back in the email and be like, well, actually, here's the email.
Yeah.
I think that's like the attorney side of me coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there were like all sorts of little jealousies. You went into the hospital, and that was a little bit of an issue.
You know, I asked. It was funny. I don't know why they put me in a room with Jonathan Levin, of all people. It wasn't Jim. It wasn't Aaron. Well, Aaron had kind of was having his own health problems at that point, but it wasn't Jim, and it wasn't Duke, who were by my bedside when I woke up from surgery. So it was interesting that when I had a problem after this all transpired and I wanted to discuss leaving the show and all my reasons why they put me in a room with Jonathan Levin, which I don't know that I had seen since we went to network. And, you know, you had told me about your background with him, which is varied and interesting. And he obviously has a very fond spot, shall we say, for you. And I don't know why they chose him to do this meeting, but I can tell you that during the meeting where I said, this is not the show I signed on to do, I hear that you're looking for other people and it's not about the list of names. It's about, this was not a show that I wanted to do without Shannon. She didn't want to do it without me. Therefore, I don't want to do it without her. And that should be fairly clear. And he had tears in his eyes already because he could see I was getting upset, as you can hear me getting upset. And I said, why would you hire her again, just to fire her? And he said, we didn't mean to. And he said, but we've been backed into this corner. He said, you know, we're basically in a position where it's one or the other. We were told that it's her or me, and Alyssa has threatened to sue us for a hostile workplace environment, which, because she went to the therapist or the mediator or the corporate mediator, or whatever the heck his title is, she built a case for herself where she was documenting every time she felt uncomfortable on set and for whatever reason, whereas you and I refused to speak to him. So that's where the deck was stacked.
I always think that like when somebody does that, you know, I would as a producer call them on it. And I know that that's a huge risk. And it was definitely one that they didn't want to take.
And what's funny is that by today's standard, it wouldn't even qualify because there were no on-set, brawls. There was no even like harsh words exchanged. It was all behind the scenes. It was all in a trailer. It was nothing that anybody or any of our guest stars ever noticed or noted. And, there's not a director that would not work with you again. There's not any one of our crew members that did not have a great time working with you. So by today's standards, it wouldn't fucking fly.
Right.
And I don't think being late as a teenager on a set called 90210 would fly for being fired either. Like it just doesn't make any sense anymore. There are people that actually behave badly and get away with it. And there are men that, abuse people, throw things, screaming fits, and get away with it. Like, I don't think people understand that never happened here. Unless you were there, no one understands that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I lived a year after that, sort of replaying everything in my brain and really like trying to find those moments where and I couldn't find them. Like there was no, like, we never had it out. Like we never.
Not privately or publicly.
Right. I don't ever remember being mean to her on set. I actually, I remember an episode that I directed where, she did something on the Christmas break and they asked me to work around some things with her and I had no problem with it. Like I couldn't have been more kind and understanding. And the only thing was that there were like a couple of things that sort of stood out to me. One was, her mom had that like safe searching thing or whatever. And she like showed up one day and said, oh, well, I designed your website and it's on safe searching now. And I was like, can you please take it down? Like my father doesn't feel well. He's not doing well. And I sort of want to give this to him as a project. So he has something to occupy his time with. And I mean, I have no idea if that was a factor or not, but it happened. They, did yours as well, but you allowed it. And because why wouldn't you? You didn't have a dad that needed something to do.
Double D's floating around out there.
Right. And then the whole, pay discrepancy, even though it was so incredibly minor, not even worth a conversation really. But once that all came out and her and I had the conversation and my attorneys went to Spelling and said, this is not okay. You can't be doing, side deals with someone.
It was me that told you that there was another deal. So why wasn't I fired?
Right.
Yeah. And I think, previously, you had discussed with them that the tension was getting high and that you didn't want a replay of what had happened before. So you were preemptively trying to work it out. And I also wonder in the back of their minds if they didn't choose you because they knew they had done it before and 90210 went on. I almost wonder if they were okay with the publicity, if they were okay with, we've done this before, it worked out fine, we can do it again.
I think that's a valid point.
Hold on to that. And I think been very upfront and taken accountability for and apologized for whatever part I played in the situation. And I've been very forthcoming about that. And so I don't know how else to fix it. I even don't know if I could put myself out there any more than I already have to try to fix it. But yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's hard. This is the uncomfortable part that I wish was different. And so Apologies to all of you who love us anyway.
We simply told the truth because the truth actually does matter. But we wanted to try to save you, the fans, from heartbreak as much as humanly possible. At this point in my life, with my health diagnosis, I'm sorry if I start crying, with fighting horrific disease every day of my life, it is also incredibly important to me that the truth actually be told, as opposed to the narrative that others have put out there for me. We told it together. We told our truths, and we are standing by our truths. There is no revisionist history happening in the truth that I know we told. There is no brush flinging or shoe flinging. There is no lateness to set. There is no mediator for months on end. I recall the facts as if I were still living in them. And what I will say is what somebody else may call drama is an actual trauma for me that I have lived with for an extremely long time. And it is only through my battle with cancer that I decided to address this trauma and be open and honest about it so that I could actually heal from a livelihood that was taken away from me, a livelihood that was taken away from my family because someone else wanted to be number one on the call sheet. That is the truth.
And I would say one last thing. Protected you for a long time. We've done it for as long as we could, both of us, all of us. And there's a great, great comedian named Cat Williams. He has a wonderful, wonderful saying, winners do not let losers rewrite history. And with that, I would